Guys, the saga continues. So, I wanted to make this real quick video to share with you guys because one of my viewers on here that watches these videos made me aware of this little tidbit of information, and I just had to watch it and I had to go verify it, and I have found some really interesting information about what you guys are going to hear about. So first, before we go into it, this is a YouTube channel that I am subscribed to. I don't always get to watching every single video out there. This is because it's through Messenger. As you can see, he just messaged me about it, and I was like, let me click on this video. So I'm gonna go ahead and play. He said to start around 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and apparently there might be some insider trading that happened. So let's take a look at what Jake and Joel have to say about their quote unquote rumor that they heard. And then I'm going to show you what evidence I found. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a listen. And if I have any input, I'll pause it. You can just go to their channel if you want and watch it directly from them. But let's just take a look at what they said. Takes about a minute.
That would have been, like 10 months ago, right? November 17th.
Yeah.
So, or, whatever, 11 months, it would have been right during that overlap. So as everybody's getting hyped up about all of the Mana Crypt variants that are coming out as the Chase Card and Lost Caverns collector boxes, all along we knew, or they knew, that Mana Crypt was probably going to be on the chopping block in the future.
So learning from the Rules Committee themselves that this has been discussed for over a year and they thought it was an operational security thing to keep it tight, that was interesting reasoning to hear, because a piece of information that we had not disclosed because we didn't think it was important. About a month ago, our rumor goblins, we've got rumor goblins all over the land, in every major forest, in every major city.
Right.
Our rumor goblins came to us about a month ago and said, Hey, boss, I heard Mana Crypt is going to get banned in Commander.
Okay, so real quick, that's massive. All right. The fact that these guys have rumor goblins, and I'm sure that just means people that work at, different places like Wizard of the Coast, and maybe, maybe they have some people that, wives, husbands, I don't know. I really don't know who their rumor goblins are, right? But that's not what's important. One thing that I do want to touch base on is, if you haven't watched my previous videos, I would definitely watch it. What they were just talking about is the fact that the RC, notably Jim, who is a member of the RC, posted a post, which I think that they're going to pull up here in a second, talking about how they had been speaking with Wizards of the Coast for a while about this ban for at least a year. Okay, and this is something that I've been screaming out to the void, that Wizards of the Coast knew about this ban well before it got banned. And that, to me, it's more likely that a discussion happened to hold the ban off until after all this product released, right? That's been my contention. But here's the thing. What they're going to talk about is something that I hadn't really considered as a thing, which is basically insider trading. But they do talk about how it happened on a very small scale, because the Rules Committee, in their recent fact that they released, said that, hey, we wanted to keep this as small as possible and as insulated as possible. And that's part of the reason why they didn't tell the CAG. Here he goes. He's messaging me again. They didn't tell the CAG because they wanted to make sure there was no leaks. But apparently there were still some leaks that were happening. So I just want to let you guys know that, so you have the context, the full context. Now let's keep listening and see what they said. Oh, mind you, think about the timelines here. They released this video 2 days ago. They said it was about a month ago. So that the news that they would have gotten would have been around August, the end of August, like the 24th to the 28th. And that's really important for you to know. But let's go back.
And at the time we went, well, we need to replace you because that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. That doesn't make any sense at all. If you ban Mana Crypt, you have to ban blah, 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 blah. And we just started going through so it doesn't make any sense. And so we completely disregarded
no real
it.
context. There was nothing else that was like any foundation to this. And it was really like, our source was just kind of like,
Our goblin.
Nope, that's what it is. I've heard it's going to get banned, and it was also said that it would happen in late September.
Told us about the timing.
September.
Yep.
Yeah.
At the time, it just sounded so ridiculous. We were like, bah, okay, cool, hilarious, little rumor goblin. Thank you. You'll do a better job.
We'll definitely be taking, that advisement more seriously in the future. And if someone does say something, we're going to give it a little bit more. I guess what's the word?
Consideration.
Yeah, consideration. Because, it was very easy to dismiss it. We had definitely heard murmurings over the years of Dockside getting banned just from how the community feels about it.
All right, I want you guys to notice something. This is one of the most important things that they could have said, because they're upfront about it, but this is a sentiment that's being shared all over the Magic community. Notice how they heard from a rumor goblin who was most likely positioned to be able to have this information and it be very true, but even they were like, no, that couldn't be true. But after this specific ban announcement, now they're a little bit more suspicious. Now they're going to be a little bit more careful. And this affects everybody. This affects the entire community. Okay? Not just because their rumor goblin said it, but because their rumor goblin said it and it came true, and because the gravity at which the ban, it was such... Guys, I don't know how to express this any more clear. The fact that they, having been warned that this was going to happen, and they still didn't believe it, how much more do you think that it was a reasonable assumption to anybody else that doesn't have a little rumor goblin, as they like to call it, would feel hoodwinked and would feel like they were done wrong by Wizards of the Coast? Because they even bring up the points that I have said. Like, they use this as marketing. There's no way that this can be true because they just marketed Mana Crypt to be the highlight card of a set. WotC would not ban this. The RC would not ban this card. That makes no sense. Right? And you can't even argue about the timeline. Say, oh, like, well, maybe they heard this like when the set was just released, like back in 2023. No, this video was released in 2024, was released 2 days ago. The rumor goblin told them this a month ago. Okay? So this is not like, so they still had this sentiment as early as a month ago. And so did everybody else. Or I'm sorry, as late as a month ago. And so did everybody else. Nobody thought that this card was going to get banned. No one in their right mind thought that this card was going to get banned. It just doesn't make any sense. And for WotC and for the RC to do this, it's just heinous. All right, so let's go ahead. I think they got a few more things to say. And then I'm going to show you some proof that what they're saying is most likely true. And that there very well may have been some insider trading. I have proof. Okay, let me reiterate. I have evidence. Can't prove anything, right? Like I can't prove anything. I can only provide evidence, and you make the decision on whether or not you think it's strong enough to be proof. All right, here we go.
But when we heard Crypt, it was just like, no, that came out in LCI. It got a huge, just a massive push there. It's a huge reprint target, that kind of thing.
One of their entire marketing pillars for that set was based around it. It just didn't make any sense. And the Rumor Goblin came back with that piece of information alone. There was no other context, like Jake said, of, oh, it's also going to go out with some fast mana. Fast mana is under review, blah, blah, blah.
The point is with this is that if we knew, then there's no way that a bunch of other people didn't know. And this did come to us about a month ago, which means that people that knew about this, obviously, the RC knew about this, but it got out in some capacity, and people did know that Mana Crypt was going to be on the chopping block, which means that, people could have taken advantage of that, got out of their copies ahead of time, and
I think some people did. I don't think in a major...
All right, so there you guys have it. Some people definitely did, and I'm going to provide you some evidence as to why I think this is true, and which makes this whole thing even more heinous. Because when I think about it, the fact that it wasn't... So It wasn't the CAG. It wasn't any of the members of the CAG. It wasn't the Commander Advisory Group. We know that at this time because we know that Josh Lee Kwai and we know that now Kristen, who were both previous members of the Commander Advisory Group, were not made aware of this until the very, very last minute. There's this rumor goblin that we now know of that is an unknown person that would have had to have known about this. So this could have been a member of the RC that got rid of some copies. It could have been anyone. We don't really know. Could have been a member of WotC. It doesn't matter. But this is why these kind of bans need to be considered. All right. And like, I get the RC saying, no, we're not allowed to do that. And it's like, okay, yes, you're not allowed to do that. Nobody really would be allowed to do it. But what's to stop somebody from, telling a friend and saying, hey, buddy, I know you got like 5 or 6 copies of this card. You might want to sell them now. You might want to go ahead and get rid of them because they're going to lose a ton of value, right? It could have been a wife, could have been a wife where, a husband or a significant other, they're laying down in bed at night and they're talking about it and they're like, man, you know what? Because I've had these kind of conversations with my wife before. Man, you know what? I can't believe this one thing is getting ready to happen. Oh, really? What's that? Oh, yeah, they're getting ready to ban this like super expensive card. It's called Mana Crypt. Nobody's going to like it. It's going to lose. It's going to go from being worth $200 to being worth $80 overnight. And yeah, a lot of people are going to be upset, but it's happening. It's happening in a month. Oh, man. And then the significant other, oh, really? Wow, that's crazy. How do you think people are going to feel? Oh, they're going to feel mad. Oh, okay. Well, hopefully everything's all right with that. Yeah. I think everybody will be fine, but there's going to be a lot of mad people. Then that significant other happens to be in conversation with their best friend whose husband or their significant other happens to be a player of Magic, and bada bing, bada boom, it just gets out, right? You can't hide this kind of stuff. Not when it's this gravitic, not when it's this big, it's this huge, not when there's millions upon millions of dollars on the line, you just can't avoid it. So here's my proof. I'm going to show you guys right now. So I screenshotted it. Here it is right here. Okay, so as you know, TCG player tracks the value of cards. So when I was looking at these cards, I went to what I thought would probably be the most common denominator, right? If there were people that had these cards that worked in these high positions, they probably owned copies of this Mana Crypt right here, Eternal Masters. Why do you say that? Well, because honestly, that's the copy that I own, right? And I am in my late 30s, and I imagine that people that work at the level that would hear about this would also be in their late 30s. So I just went, let me check. And I went here and I looked at the sales history. Because, do you see it? Do you see it? Do you see it? Because this is where you would find this information. So, all throughout the year, it was all fine. But then you see this dip right here. Look at the date. Look at the date. Guys, look at the date. Are you seeing this dip right here? Right around that timeline, you see a huge dip in the number of items sold and the value. Why would they sell it for that low value? Why would there all of a sudden be a dip exactly a month, almost exactly a month before the ban date, before this video was made, almost exactly a month, you see multiple items sold at well below market. Here we go. This would have been $140. This would have been exactly 1 month before the date of their video, which was 2 days ago. This would have been exactly a month. All right? About a month. 3 Mana Crypts sold between the value of $1 to $140. Look at this. And then you see this huge dip that happens right around that timeline. And then it steadily climbs back up until the ban date where it crashes. Guys, if this is not proof of what they said, I don't know what is. So yes, before I was against this, that there could not have been any insider trading, but there definitely was. There definitely was. Not at the scale, I will admit, not at the scale that would qualify as like the criminal nature by the people who made the decision. But what this means is that there was definitely some BS going on. All right? There was definitely this full, complete understanding that all of this was wrong. People were insider trading. People were making decisions on this before the general public knew. People knew. And you know what? You know what makes me the most angry about that? Is that they knew that this was going to happen. They knew that over $100 per mana crypt was going to be erased in value for thousands upon thousands upon thousands of Magic players and stores around the world. They knew this was going to happen, and they still had a chance to go, you know what? Maybe we should listen to Olivia. Maybe we should listen to what the Commander Advisory Group has been telling us in the past. And if you don't get that reference there, you should probably go watch my other videos. But maybe we should listen. Guess what? They didn't. And every single amount of backlash they're receiving is their fault, and they deserve it. I'm just gonna say it. I'm not gonna say that that I support people doing threats of violence, but at the very least, they should have known better, and they should have known that this was gonna happen. You don't mess with people's money like this. You don't mess with people's livelihoods like this. You don't mess with people's value like this. You don't mess with people's emotions like this on such a broad scale and just expect nothing to happen. Okay? If you are that dense and you are in a position of authority in the way that these people are, and you make a decision that's going to be this much, this big, you have to know that you need to prepare yourself. And one of the preparations that they could have done was, and I've said this before because somebody else gave me this idea, they could have just put Jeweled Lotus on the reserve list. That would have preserved a lot of value. They could have put Mana Crypt on the reserve list and just said, you know what? We're going to put it on the reserve list. We're not going to print it again, and it's going to get banned. They could have done that. And that would have made a lot of sense. That would have kept a lot of people's money where it should be, and it would have been fine. But they didn't do it. They didn't do that, and this backlash is only the beginning. Anyway, thanks, guys, for watching this video. Hopefully it was enlightening to you. Leave me a comment an algorithmic comment in the comment section. Share this with people that you know. And even if you don't agree, with me, comment below why you don't agree. Do you think I'm an idiot? I mean, you should probably go watch some of my other videos if you think I'm an idiot. But if you think I'm wrong, comment in the comment section below. You know, like, let your opinion be heard. That's the whole point of this, is to get our opinions out and get to the bottom of this, get to the truth. Anyway, thank you guys very much for watching this video. Peace, love, and chicken grease. We'll see you in the next one.